back to my channel. Hi if you're new, and welcome to my August reading wrap up. I read 9 books last month and it was alright. It was an alright reading month. I read some books I absolutely loved. I read some that I really have no intention of ever reading again. It was a real mix. So I'm going to jump straight in. I started with My Mechanical Romance by Olivia Blake. She goes under this pen name as well. This is a YA romance, and we join Belle, who at school discovers she's got a bit of a talent for engineering and robotics. So she joins the robotics club where she meets Luna, who kind of sort of runs it. And, you know, romance, building robots together. It's really, really sweet. It's short. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars because it wasn't wow. It was predictable, but then romances often are. But it was still quite a sweet, good time as well. So yeah, it was fine. It was fine. Then I was very kindly sent to my Kindle via NetGalley a short story collection called White Cat, Black Dog Stories by Kelly Link. This is where we start getting a little bit, So the stories were very, very strange. We had one where there was a talking cat. We had one where somebody chases their lover almost to hell, I think it was, and they're talking monsters and that. It was just really strange. Now, I don't mind strange, not at all. There were some stories that I really, really liked, and there were some that I found totally boring and couldn't wait to finish. So gone middle of the road, 3 out of 5. Not sure how I feel about it. But then short story collections, they can always be a bit hit or miss. So it was fine. It was fine. Then I read Solving the Procrastination Puzzle by Timothy Cycle. I think that's how we're saying his name. I gave that 4 out of 5 stars because it was a really short book. It was very easy to read. There are a lot of tips on beating procrastination, and, you know, I enjoyed it. It was fine. There was nothing particularly groundbreaking, new information, new tips and advice that, you know, we don't all know. But I think the author broke down the procrastination problem quite well, highlighted a lot of relatable things, and it was a fine read. It was okay. Then on my Kindle, I read The Lost Sisters, which is by Holly Black. This is part of the Folk of the Air series, but it's actually like a novella, and it fits in sort of after the first book. So it's kind of like 1.5. And here we join Taryn, who's one of the twins, and we see her side of things. So we sort of focus more, I think it's Jude, the main character of the first one. And yeah, we're focused on her. And so this was quite interesting to see Taryn's side of things. You know, the same story, but actually what's going on in scenes that we don't see. What's that other side of this little romance potential triangle that's going on. Yeah, it was fine. It was good. It was good. I enjoyed it. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I said I like seeing the different sides, so yeah, it was okay. Then, now I've returned to the library, so I haven't got the copy, but about 800 pages here. This was a big one. This is probably why I didn't read an awful lot of books last month, but I read A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon. This was the prequel to A Priory of the Orange Tree, and I love this. This was a 5 out of 5 stars. This was no question. I knew it was going to be because I absolutely love Priory. It's just, Samantha Shannon is such a talented author. I mean, we have half a dozen different viewpoints going on, but you don't get lost. You don't forget who's doing what. I think it's because the stories are actually really quite different. It's easy to spend maybe 20-30 pages of one character and then go back to one that maybe you've not heard from for about, 40-50 pages, but it's not an issue. I loved it. There was romance going on. There were dragons. There was grief. There was relationship building. It was fighting. It was everything in one book, and I just loved it so much. And I very much doubt there's going to be any more in that series, but I tell you what, if there is, I'm reading it. I love them. I love both of those books. It was brilliant. Then I went a little bit lighter and I read Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. This was quite an anticipated book for me. I've heard everyone on BookTube absolutely rave about it. For me, we sit at 3 out of 5 stars. Okay, it was fine. It wasn't a bad book. 3 out of 5 stars. It's still very good. but it just didn't wow me. So we joined Chloe Brown. She's chronically ill. And she writes this list basically on how to get a life, and she's got things like enjoy a drunken night out, ride a motorbike, go camping, travel the world with nothing but hand luggage, have meaningless but thoroughly enjoyable sex, etc. And she meets Red, who she kind of enlists to help her fulfill these challenges. And you know, it's predictable. You know there's going to be a romance that goes on in this. For me, I love the idea of this. I love me like a bucket list or an impossible list, you know. I really, really do. And that's why I really had hyped this book up quite a bit. However, there wasn't, for me, it was just mainly romance focused rather than achieving the things on the list. And that's just me personally. Romance I'm still getting into, I suppose. So for me personally, I wanted a little bit more of the list doing, but I can see why people love it for the romance. It was very sweet. You had the bit of drama in there as well. I love Chloe's family, so maybe I would consider picking up the other two books because they're sort of based around the other two sisters. I probably won't go out of my way to buy them, but if I sort of see them in a charity shop or in the library, then yeah, I probably would pick them up and give them a go. But it was fine. It was still a good read. I still enjoyed it, okay? 3 out of 5 stars. It's still good. Then I listened to via Scribd, A Worthy Opponent by Katie Roberts. This is kind of like in the sexy Disney retelling sort of zone. And we had a bit of like, it was a Tinkerbell and Captain Hook romance that kind of occurred here. I find these so weird. I really, really do. But you know what? I actually enjoy them. I only give them like 3 out of 5 stars. They're not wow. But I just love the idea of these retellings, like what goes on in Katie Roberts' head to write these, you know, with Peter Pan being the bad guy, you know, with Hades like ruling the underworld, which is kind of like a club and like a sex club, and he's like the Don in the mafia. It's so strange, but you know what, I'm here for it, and I will be continuing the series. I just will. It's gonna happen. Then I read what I think is possibly my favourite book of the year. Now, considering I have just been hyping A Day for the Night Ride, which I absolutely loved, Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus. Oh my god, this was just so good. This was so good. I devoured this in a few nights. If I could have sat and read it all in one sitting, I would. This is feminist. This is just girl power at its best. But I loved the way it was written, and you know, I love 630. If you don't know who 630 is, you've got to read it. And we joined basically Elizabeth Zott. Now, she is a scientist. However, we're going back to, what year are we going back to here? Early 1960s, all-male team at Hastings Research Institute. Basically, the men think she's barely a scientist. She's more like a lab technician here. She's not got it. She didn't know what she's talking about. You know, she's stealing her ideas from her boyfriend at the time. She's, you know, she's women are a lower class, right? And she is determined to kick butt and go, that's wrong. That is wrong. I don't want to give you any spoilers, so how much do we know? Finds herself a single mother, but the reluctant star of America's most beloved cooking show, Supper at 6. Now, they describe that in the blurb as revolutionary, and it was really good. Do you know what? I don't know if I enjoyed the bits before the TV show or the TV show a bit more, but she goes on, she teaches this cookery, like these meals to do, easy meals, but are very, very good for you, but she explains the science within it, so what the ingredients do to the body, and that turns all, because it's mainly watched by women, and they start understanding these things. They're realizing they're understanding science, so actually they're not low down the list like their husbands and that are suggesting that they are. So everyone, all the women start sort of beginning to turn a little bit, but there's drama going on in the background, and oh, do you know what, it's just this was just so good. It was just so well written. It was a totally kick-ass feminine read. I love the writing style, I love the storyline, I loved everything about this book. I genuinely cannot fault it at this point, and I would just encourage everyone to read it. Please give it a go. You will know in the first 3 or 4 chapters, and they're only really short chapters, you'll know in the first 3 or 4 chapters if you're going to enjoy the book or not. I had made up my mind after reading the first couple. I was like, yes, love it. This is going to be a brilliant book. And it was. So the last book I read, oh my goodness, I don't even know how to talk about this book. Right. Things I Wanted to Say But Never Did by Monica Murphy. This is book 1 in the Lancaster Prep series. I really don't know how to talk about this book. Okay, so we join Summer, who goes to Lancaster Prep. She comes across Whit, who basically is the bad boy, shall we say, of the college. But if I said he's Whit Lancaster, you know he's going to get away with everything, okay? However, this is a bully romance, I suppose, and I've not read one of these before, so for me, a woman falling for this guy that treats her like absolute shit, really, I found hard to read. You know, for me, it's like it's abuse. It's horrible. How is she liking this guy? Because if some guy spoke to me like that, I'd probably get arrested for punching him. You know, I wouldn't tolerate it. It certainly wouldn't make me attracted to this guy. But what I'm going to say about this book is it's not the best written book, okay? But it's one of those books that once you read it, you kind of have to continue to find out what on earth's going to happen, but while you're reading it, you're thinking, how am I reading this? What is this? There is like a sexual reference on every page. They're either having sex, talking about sex, thinking about sex, someone else is having sex. And I'm like, I can't believe I'm reading this. And I didn't expect this first. So I actually took this book to read on a medical job. And I'm sat there in the ambulance car reading it. And I'm like, oh, let's get the Kindle out instead and put that aside before anyone looks it up and finds out what it's about. I genuinely had no idea. I thought it was going to be a YA cute little romance. I did not do my research, did I? This is a smut fest. So, you know, by all means read it for that reason. It's very strange. There's massive family issues that go on. There's a lot of drama. Do you know, it's just so weird. So I'm really divided on what to rate this, because the romance element itself made me feel very, very uncomfortable. But I was hooked. I read it in a few days. So and I liked how it ended. So I'm currently on Goodreads. I put it a 4 out of 5. It's probably more 3.5. I don't know. There are bits in this book I seriously read with disbelief. But I don't know. Have you had a book like that before where you're just like, I really don't know how I feel about it. I don't know if I really enjoyed it or actually I really didn't at all, because that's how I'm feeling about this book. That being said, I have got the next couple of books in the series because I kind of need to see. It's hooked me and I just feel very strange about it. So that's my August wrap up. Let me know if you've read any of those or if you want to read any of those. Let me know your thoughts. If you like this video, do give it a like. Pop me an emoji in the comments if you just want to say hi. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye.